The best show was Courage, though.
You know what? This might be an unpopular opinion, but I didn't really care for Courage the Cowardly Dog.
It's understandable.
I just didn't really
I feel like on another podcast, maybe they would have, like, leaned into the hyperbole and had, like, a back and forth about Courage the Cowardly Dog. But who we are as people and friends, you're just being like, I don't think this is for me. And I'm like,
fine,
I
that's
accept
valid.
you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting me and all my hot takes.
Oh, God. But you know what show isn't divisive?
Which one would that be?
Coffee Prince.
Yeah, boo. Everybody loves Coffee Prince. There's no such thing as a Coffee Prince hater. IMO. Never seen one.
Yeah.
Never will.
Never seen one in the wild. Never caught on video.
And I'm not planning to in the future. Oh, man. So last time we watched episode 11. Mm-hmm. And you know what that means. This time we're watching episode 13.
11 again. Some variations on a theme there.
Yeah. That's right. Nope, just kidding. It's episode 12 because when you count, 12 comes after 11. At least I think it does. I haven't been in math class for so long.
Yeah, me either.
Well, then I guess we'll just have to assume.
I'll take your word for
it. Thank you. I'm not confident, but I'll pretend to be. So we are watching episode 12, and last episode was kind of like a lot. It was a lot. Episode 11 was just a lot. I really don't think there's any better way to describe it than that.
There's very few episodes of television that I would describe as emotional labor for the viewer, but that was one of them.
Yeah, geez. It really, like, the high points were, like, there, but they were only there in the beginning, and then they kind of just, like, didn't give you any more, and you were like, please,
please
I need to be happy again. But anyway, we're done with it now, and we've got to move on. We've got to see what happens next. So, before we get into it, Jaren, what do you think is going to happen in episode 12?
It was all a dream. Get back to the good stuff, please. Unchan wakes up and goes to work, and then marries Hangyul. And
wow.
That's what I want. That's what it is.
Does that mean that in non-dream world she's been, like, engaged to Hangyul? Like, what does that mean?
Well, we did have the dream sequence from many episodes ago where Hangyul was getting married to Unchan in his dream.
That's right.
So maybe this will be the continuation of that. Like, that'll be Universe Prime, and then we'll wake up, and everything else has been an illusion.
Wow.
Coffee Prinception.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to Coffee Prinception. I mean, you know what? That sounds pretty good. Like, I'd be down.
At this point,
I'll leave it.
I said at this point, yeah, I would be down.
I will leave it to your judgment as to whether or not that is an accurate depiction of what episode 12 will be. Actually, if it was all a dream, then, like, what about, like, all the other characters? Like, do they exist in Universe Prime, or are they just kind of, like, dream characters?
We can keep them. We can keep all the things I like and put all the things that I don't like on some, in another worse show.
Hey, what happened to last time when we were like, oh man, we never really get to see Han Sung's perspective, and we were kind of like feeling for him for the first time. Like, what happened to that?
Well, they kind of walked that back a little bit.
All right, you're not wrong. No breaks for Han Sung.
Yeah, I'm like a fish on a hook. Like, they're giving me a little bit of slack and then just reeling it back in as hard as they can.
Aww. Wait, well, maybe in Universe Prime he's a different man, you know?
Han Sung Prime can transform into a helicopter.
Wow, I'm surprised you gave him helicopter and not, like, dump truck or something.
Han Sung got that dump truck.
I have not been looking, but now I guess I'll have to, and I'll report back whether or not Hansung got that dump truck.
Listen, Hansung has an absolute dump truck of a personality.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the episode. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm Kara, and I love rom-coms.
Hey, I'm Jaren, and I like watching artisanal cheese videos.
Oh, pretty good. Oh, but you know what we both love? We both love hot drinks and hot boys.
And this is... Just Kiss Already.
Oh, God. Oh, gosh, golly, oh, gosh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Time to start kvetching about the coffee prince again.
That's right. It's episode 12. Oh my gosh, we're here. We've been watching episode after episode after episode.
The hits don't stop.
Yeah, little would you know it. After episode 11 comes episode 12. I feel like we already said that when you made your prediction. But that's okay. I'm going to say it again because it's important that people know how numbers work.
Repetition and reincorporation is very important for shows.
Yeah, I think that honestly we're doing the world a good by
I love it's not doing the world a service. We're doing the world a good.
Just one. Just single good.
Everybody gets a good.
Everyone get one good, and if you use it, then you're bad.
You gotta get it good before your good gets got.
Oh no. It's no longer good if your good gets got.
Golly
Gosh, gadoosh. Anyway, remember how episode 11 was, like, really sad?
Yeah, I tried to forget real hard.
Well, as soon as you start episode 12, they're like, hey, it's not done yet, and they had to start us right off. Like, we're in very sad, depressed town, and we just had to be like, oh, that's right, we haven't quite gotten back to Cute Town yet. So we got to start there. And right at the beginning of the episode. Open. So right from the get-go, we're back at Coffee Prince, and everything is just, like, really awkward. Everyone knows what's going on. Nobody is happy. We're not allowed to be happy right now.
It's so funky. Ugh. It's like a mushroom just taking up all the air in the room.
And Hangul is just, like, he's not helping. He's, like, he wants Eunchen not to be there, but he won't fire her. And he's just like, I thought I told you to quit. Why don't you quit? And I'm like, bro, just fire her. Like, if that's what you want, you gotta do it, because you can't just tell someone they have to quit. Like,
Hangul,
that's
the master
what firing
of projection.
is.
He walks over and he's like, oh, you're selfish for, like, coming in after I told you to quit. And it's like, bruh, I need the money.
And then he, like, walks away, and Eunchen kind of, like, follows after him, and she's, like, trying to talk to him, and he's like, you get 3 minutes. Ugh. And she's like, okay, well, like, I'm really sorry, and, like, I was scared, and, like, I'm just kind of, like, trying to put it down again. And they have this, like, really sad conversation. There's a lot of sad things that are said. Like, Hangul, one of the things that he says is, why am I always betrayed by the ones I love? And I was like, bro, ouch, youchie, oh no, I don't, uh-oh.
Yeah, like, I've started to, like, turn against Hangul a little bit this episode, and I'm not gonna try to hide it.
Okay.
The end of last, God, that was last episode, right? That ends with just the sexual assault in the workplace, right?
Yeah.
And sort of the next thing we see is him being like, I'll give you 3 minutes to, like, tell me what you want to tell me. Oh, and I was like, okay, she's got to tell him, like, the 3 words that we've all been waiting to hear her say. I'm filing suit. And it was just really upsetting because he was like, why am I always betrayed by the ones I love? like my father for not telling me about my birth mother, and you for not telling me you're a girl. And I was like waiting for him to be like, and my grandma for making me work. And I was like, come on, bro.
Oh, God.
But it's just heartbreaking because Unchan is like, yeah, it was really fun when we like goof off, and I was worried that you wouldn't like me, and I was like, don't get me wrong, I'm doing a silly voice, but I was like crying during this.
Yeah, no, I was really sad. There's like this big theme in this episode of trust, which makes sense because now that we've gotten the episode where it's like the secret is out, of course there's gonna be like the talk about like, I needed to trust you and you didn't trust me and blah blah blah. And so he's saying all these things like, I'm betrayed by people, I need someone who trusts me.
Oh my god. The part where he's like, I need someone who's gonna stick up for me and who's gonna be like, Hong Yul could do whatever he wants if he just puts his mind to it. And you realize that, like, he's talking about how, like, his family, like, all just kind of doubts him and how terrible that is. That, like, he really was just looking for somebody to be like, hey, like, my boyfriend is cool and he can do things.
My boyfriend is cool and he can do things, okay? If he wants to build Lego Man, let him build Lego Man.
He's real good at it.
It was really sad. I think the part that really got me was when Unchan says, can't we just see each other? Like, can't we just, like, exist in the same room together and, like, still see each other? And I was like, ooh. Oh, God, ouch. Oh, no.
She's being very truthful to, like, the thing that Mr. Hong said, which was, like, she knows she can't live without Hong Yul. And Hong Yul still hasn't, like, had that conversation with himself.
Yeah, he's too busy being, like, sad, angry, or whatever.
Yeah, just being
he's really
upsetty spaghetti.
He's a big pile of upsetty spaghetti.
Yeah.
So yeah, at this point we're 5 minutes in, and I've already written in all caps, I'm sad, in my notes. So,
New world
off to a
record.
great start.
Coffee Prince sad speedrun.
Oh, man. So then, Hong Gil's like, whatever, and he, like, leaves, and the conversation is over, or whatever.
Oh, before the conversation is over, I had an interesting translator's note, where, in your version, did she say, I love you here?
I don't think so.
Oh, she did in mine, and I wrote it down, and I was like, oh, because I thought that maybe that was, like, the first time.
I don't know, she might have, I didn't, if it was, it didn't strike me as, like, whoa. I feel like I was too busy being sad.
Through the tears, I could see the translator's note that he calls her his Jibongwol, and the translator's note said little bell, and I was like, Unchan is such a little bell. It's perfect.
Unchan is such a little bell. That I also got that, yeah.
He's like, oh, you were this cool kid who just stood up for what he believed in, and I wanted to be like that kid, but I don't want to be like you. And then he just flat out breaks up. He's like, we need to stop seeing each other. And I was like, come on. It took us 11 episodes to get here.
There's like a big come on feeling this like whole episode. Or not the whole episode, but for a good portion of it. So then Hong Gil goes downstairs and Mr. Hong is like, dude, listen. Come on, my dude. Like, we're trying to run a business here. I need this not to be happening. Fire your employee. I don't care. Just like, dude.
He does level with him. He's like, look, I love this like fucking like childhood playground romance shit. He's like, that's my character. I'm all about it. You guys are pushing it. And I'm like, he's absolutely right.
Oh my god.
Even Harim has like come around. He's like, Young, like, come on. You gotta pick it up.
Oh my god. And Hong Gil is still on this, like, I told her to quit. And CB is like, no, I don't want you to.
Yeah. Hong, like, walks out of the job. He's like, that's it. I'll see you next month.
Oh, yeah, no. Hong Gil is making these comments like, it's like, whatever, like, I'll be gone in a month. And Mr. Hong is like, no, I will be the one to leave. And then Hong Gil is like, I'll be gone soon. And Mr. Hong is like, okay, well, when you're gone, let me know and I'll come back because I don't want to be here amid all of this. I don't want to deal with it.
This used to be about the coffee, man.
He's like, it was fun for a little while, but now you've taken it too far, and I'm done. I don't care anymore. I'm not having fun.
So the Oppas march upstairs, CB and Seunggi. And
yes, because Eun-chan is actually leaving now. Like, she's really packing up, and she's really leaving Coffee Prince. Yeah. And that's
for, like,
one of the
reasons,
like,
time.
like, CB is really, really upset about it, and CB and Waffle Boy go... Well, yeah, for the 5th time, except this time it's like, it's real. Like, you know. Like, you feel it, you know?
Ooh.
Like, other times it's been like oh, I'm not going to come into work for a couple days, or like, oh, I'm going to leave and, like, come back. But, like, this was like she emptied her locker, like, everybody went and, like, said their goodbyes. Like, this was like a real, like, I'm leaving. Like, it was different this time.
Yeah, everybody was reacting as though it was, like, more serious. But for me, a little bit as an audience member, I kind of felt like it was yo-yoing. Like,
really?
Because, yeah, there's been, like, at least 3 that I can recall where they've been like, Hong-yul tells Eun-chan to quit, and then they kind of work it out within the next hour or so. And I was
That's
like...
fair.
I kind of knew that things were going to get better after this.
Yeah. I think for me, it wasn't necessarily the fact that she had left before and that they'd worked it out or anything, or the fact that the other characters were responding more seriously. It was more like... this point in the show and this point in the plot feels very serious. It feels like, yes, she's left in the past and she's come back and whatever. But at no point in those times in the past had there been, like, this level of, like this feels like the big conflict. And it is. It's much more of a conflict than any other conflict they'd had in the past. Like, this is kind of like the big one. You know?
This is like the 3rd act misunderstanding.
Yeah. So when she's going and she's, like, packing up, I remember watching this for the first time and thinking that, like, even if they made up after this, it was possible that she wouldn't be back to work here. Because this was kind of like it, you know?
CB, they did something that I don't know if it was intentional, but I'd like to think it is, because he goes upstairs and he's talking with Eun-chan as she's packing, and he's being like, hey, relax, he'll cool off and come back. Like, think of it as a break. Like, he really badly wants to think of it as a temporary thing.
I mean, to be fair, that's what it's always been.
Yes,
anytime that
exactly.
Eun-chan has left, that's how it's been. So he wants it badly to be that, but we know that it's not that right now, you know?
And I thought it was interesting because I was like, oh, is this part of CB's perspective because of Eun-se and, like, the hot-cold kind of, like, young love thing that they're having, where he's like, just, like, wait it out. Like, yeah, it'll be better
He's like,
later.
don't worry, she'll text you in, like, in a day. It's okay.
Yeah, when she needs money, she'll come back.
Oh, God.
I forgot that Eun-se was such, like a scrapper, like a, you know?
Yeah.
And then Eun-chan has, like, a really sad line to CB where she's like, huh, your eyes look pretty wet for such a big, strong boy right now. And, like, I was like, oh no, he doesn't believe what he's saying.
Yeah. It also hurt me a lot when Waffle Boy kind of, like, leaned up and he was like, keep in touch, and he just kind of, like, walks away, and I was like, damn.
Dude, yeah, Seunggi's
I
perspective
really like
things.
Waffle Boy throughout this series goes from, like, this character that I'm like, what is this man? To, like, a character that even though he's not doing much different, I just, like, suddenly care a lot more about, like, the things he has to say and the things that he does.
Soft-spoken characters are interesting because, like, a lot of times you can feel like I don't get what the characterization is. And especially in this episode, I feel like we see more of, like, what Seunggi thinks about the Hong-yul Eun-chan situation. And also that he's like, hey, keep in touch. Like, you can get a little out of a lot with a soft-spoken character if the setup is right.
Definitely upon, like, multiple rewatching, he's a character who I feel like the first time I was like, oh, he's this guy, and then you get a little more, like, near the end, but upon rewatching, it's so easy to see those characterizations that were there from the start. They were just so much harder to notice because there was so much stuff going on that I had to pay attention to, and I was like, this freaking Waffle Boy, I don't know.
You make a waffle.
he make a waffle and he attract the ladies.
Oh, wow. And then we get to, like, the first public service announcement of this episode, which is, don't drive while you're crying, y'all. It's very dangerous, please.
Oh my gosh, there's so much driving sad in this episode. So much criving. And I'm like, guys, stop. It's so dangerous. You need to see the road. Just pull over and cry.
Like, I get you don't want to cry, like, on the premises of the job you've just been fired from, but, like maybe you could just go and, like, hit that parking lot across the street for a hot second.
Yeah, come on. Like, go run through the drive-thru over there. Like, get yourself a sody.
On your Vespa. Hold it while you drive. Cry the rest of the way home.
No. You get the sody and you drink it in the parking lot and you cry. And then you go home.
I thought you were going to say, like, you get a nice Sprite and then you just kind of, like, flick it into your eyes.
Oh, God.
It counteracts the tears. The salt and the sugar, they balance out.
Oh, wow. That's a new method. I guess I'll have to try that next time.
With the second public service announcement, don't try that.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, man. And then another relationship that we see a lot of this episode is Hansung and Yoo.
Speaking of car accidents.
Yeah. Anyway, we cut to Yoo and she's like, bro, she's like leaving. Like, she's meeting with like a museum person and they're like, hey, you're leaving. Darn, that DK, he takes our art and now he takes our artist. Darn. And she's like, haha. And you're like, oh, so she's like really doing this? And I feel like throughout this whole episode, there's just a lot of moments where you see her like packing up and getting ready to leave. And you're like, oh, so she's really doing this.
Oh, yeah. There was no doubt in my mind that like she was leaving. And I was like rooting for that pretty much the entire episode. But it's super interesting because she's in, like, this beautiful, well-lit gallery, and, like, the people around her seem like they're happy for her.
Yeah.
And then she gets a call from Hansung that she just, like, doesn't answer. But it cuts to him in, like, absolute darkness in his, like, apartment. Or I think he was at work. And...
Yes, he was at work. But it was very dark. He had no lights on.
Oh, yeah. And it's just like, I see the contrast here. One of these people looks like they're moving on. The other one looks like he's kind of... in the sad zone.
He's right here with us in Sad Town. He might be in Sadder Town, though. He might be the town over. That's even sadder than Sad Town.
No, but their chief export is sadness.
Oh, wow. That's good for them. They probably make a lot of money off of that.
I mean, we'd watch it.
Yeah, right? We're watching it right now. We're already consumers. But yeah, Hansung calls, denied, and then he's like, all right, I guess I'll call my boy Hangul.
The way they had this shot framed where it's just Hangul waits for a really, really long time to pick up this phone, and I was like, let him not answer it. Just let it ring. Just like, please, just give me this one shot of him standing there with the phone ringing. He sees that it's Hansung, and he's like, nah.
So yeah, he picks up the phone, and he's like, I'm a pouty baby, what? And Hansung is like, just shut up, I'm talking now. And Hangul's like, okay, what is it? And Hansung kind of like tells him basically like his whole side of like the situation with him and Eunchen. He's like, first off, like when I met Eunchen for the first time, it's because she was this girl who like delivered milk to my house. And so like I met her totally natural circumstances and like at no point was she lying to me about being boy because I met her and she was like female presenting and it was, it was Liddy. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and then we hung out and he's like, I had big crush on her. Okay. We weren't like dating. There was no dating thing going on. It was just me wanting to bang and her being like, nah. And then we ended up being friends and like, it's fine. Okay. It's fine.
He opens up like really honestly about the situation. Like he doesn't like, I think one of the reasons he gives for, like, why he brings Yuju to the brings Eunchen to the gallery is he's like, yeah, I was feeling petty because she was going with DK. And I was like, well, I will bring other girl.
Oh, yeah, no. Hansung was, like, actually very serious with this conversation. I was just playing him up for the laughs, as we do.
And then Hangul is like, okay, but, like, is there a rest stop between this story and the end? Because, like, I really need to cool my feet for a second.
Yeah.
And then I had a bit of like a strange moment with this because Hansung is like talking to Hangul about like, listen, after that gallery thing, Eunchen cried because she liked you so much. and then Han Gil's face like changes, like he does like the surprise, like, oh, I had no idea. And it's like 4 hours ago tops, she was crying on the balcony with you, being like, I love you, I have so many emotion. And it's like you got more out of Han Sung telling you she cried one time than of seeing her cry to your face.
Yeah, he's like... This whole phone call is Han Sung being like, bro, okay, listen, she likes you, okay? She likes you, I swear she likes you. And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess maybe she does like me. And I'm like, dude, what do you mean?
Oh.
How many times has she been like, I like you? And I get it, you're like angry or whatever, and you're like, I can't trust you, and you don't trust me, and but like, dude, come on. Like, come on. Oh my god. And
then we kind of cut from there to the princes trying to like tend bar over at Coffee Prince, and it's just hectic.
Yeah, crash cut to Coffee Prince where we are understaffed. And Waffle Boy is basically looks at Harim and he's like, things are difficult here and it's all your fault. And it's like, oh, damn.
They have like a really cool back and forth between their characters. And I was like, oh, this is like an angle that I haven't seen yet in the show, where they're talking about Seung-gi's attitude towards this relationship is non-interference. Like, he's like, I'm not going to do anything because it's between them to work out. And Harim is like the extreme opposite of that, where it's like he's invested in these people, he cares about them, and he's sort of like getting his hands in there, saying what he thinks and doing what he thinks is right. And they rub against each other on that issue. Oh yeah,
Seung-gi turns to him because he's kind of getting into Harim being like, you interfered, you're like, you shouldn't have backed off, you shouldn't have done anything. And Harim is like, well, you stood around and did nothing. Like, you never seemed to care. You didn't care about that. You don't care about anything. Like, you never care. And Seung-gi comes back at him with, like, is my not caring worse than you interfering? And I was like, I mean, like, IMO? Yeah, dude, like, I feel like putting your hands on the situation kind of worse than, like, leaving it and seeing what happens. Just, I don't know. I'm kind of on like Team Seung-gi or whatever. Whatever.
It's kind of interesting because I was thinking about this and I was like, I don't really know where I fall on that spectrum of where something is happening between two people that I know or work with, and
yeah,
I'm like, at
cool
what point is it really like right to involve yourself? And I feel like not only have we passed that point with this show because things have gotten worse for the other employees multiple times.
Yeah.
But Harim being, like, this very good friend character to Han Gil, like, I feel like he was sort of justified for intervening. And he even says, like, I thought she had already told him when I said anything. And I was, like, talking to my friend trying to console him.
Yeah.
But more importantly in this scene, there's a lot of sexual tension between these two. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe Harim and Seung-gi should do a little just kind of work it out, hold hands.
I was kind of like, let's reset the clock on this one. Like, let's keep our eyes open for this secret fourth couple that's just sort of emerging right now.
Like,
Opera glasses on. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Listen, and enemies to lovers, I'll buy in every time. Trope, yes, sign me up.
Oh no, I'm always down for one character in the couple is cool and like doesn't say a lot, and then the other one's like peppy, happy, fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's also a very good one. Yes, excellent. Give it to me.
It's also kind of the Mario and Luigi thing where you have like short guy and then a taller guy.
Oh my god. Okay, for the record, let the record show that I, Kara, do not ship Mario Luigi. I need it to be out there in the world.
Nor do I. But like there's something aesthetically pleasing about small round versus thin tall.
You know what? There is something aesthetically pleasing about that. I feel like that's such a common like character duo for like shows and like stuff. Yeah. You know, those things that you watch.
And then man. I think we cut to Hong-gyeol and Yoo-joo.
Yes, that's right. We kind of have this cool, like, everyone needs to, like, talk to Hangul and be like, let me clear the air because you kind of blew up on me without knowing what actually happened.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of a detective novel because he's kind of just like going around to all these people and like getting the facts about the situation and their testimony.
So he goes to Yuju's place, and once again we see more evidence of Yuju, like, preparing to, like, truly leave the country. Like, all of the stuff in her house has, like, little tarps over it, and, like, she's all packed up and stuff. And Hangul is kind of like, whoa, like, your house is a little, like, hey, what, like, you leaving? And she's like, haha, yeah. Anyway, so about Unchan. I'm like, oh.
I almost wanted to go back and, like, watch, but I'm like, she really didn't tell Hangul shit, huh? Like,
no, she was just kind of like, bye, and she was ready to blast off.
Oh god, this is such a good scene though. Because Yuju, it's so rare, I think, to have characters just kind of like articulate what they think they are in shows. And like that's a very unreliable narrator situation whenever somebody tells you like, I'm this way or I'm that way. And then Yuju starts talking about, well, you know, in my relationship, which I think I either found out or just remembered this episode, is 10 years long with Hansung, a decade. She says, well,
right.
I'm always the one who learns and hopes and does what she wants. And Hansung receives, takes in, and takes care of things. And I was like, I understand what she's saying about herself, but I didn't understand what she meant about Hansung. Like, is he just kind of complicit and, like, accepting what's happening to him?
Yeah, it felt, the way that she said it felt kind of vague to me, too. Because part of me immediately kind of interprets that as, like, yeah, that kind of, like, accepting, like, he just kind of, like, takes what happens. But at the same time, I wonder if it was, like, more in the way of, like, she... I don't know.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it kind of makes sense with what happens where Hansung hesitates to say anything. Yeah. He doesn't say don't go. And I think that's sort of deriving... That's what she's deriving from when she's like, he just kind of accepts whatever happens. Like, he's not willing to fight for me. Or something to that effect, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah, I think that, along with that example, that would make a lot of sense to me.
She also, like, this is, like, this kind of, like, affected me, not, like, in an emotional, like, I'm watching TV way, but, like, this kind of, like, struck me because she's talking about, she calls herself stupid and that her heart never listens. And they talk about how, like, well, you know, Hansung was never worried about Hangul. Like, Hangul's been there, like, the whole time since they were childhood friends, and, like, Yuju is aware of his feelings, and there's no way that Hansung, like, couldn't also be. And the way they sort of spin the framing this episode makes you see that, like, Hansung trusted both of these people, like, not to do anything, or, like, not to betray his trust. He trusted them, like, completely. And I think that goes back to him, like, just sort of accepting things and being kind of, like, not easygoing, but, like, I don't know, guileless, would I say? He just trusted them, and Hansung kind of calls him, or Hangul kind of calls himself out by being, like, I couldn't handle that. Like, and he's absolutely right, because he could not handle that at all with,
Well, that's true, because when they bring it up, Yuju kind of turns it around on him and is like, well, if that's so true, then why couldn't you trust Unchan? And he's like, oh, damn. Like, I couldn't. I don't know. And it's like, I guess I'd suck.
And Hangul goes on to say, like, that's why he waited. He waited, like, 2 years or however long it was for you to come back because, like, he just kind of trusted that, like, yeah, you did love him. And, God, I almost wish we hadn't leaned so hard onto, like, the Hansung hate train, because we've been full steam ahead since episode 2, like, for sure. And I don't want to pump the brakes on it, but I learned some things in episode that, like, make me not only question his choices more, but also make him more sympathetic as a character, more of a human being, less of a villain.
Hansung is definitely a character who, when we are introduced to him and when we first see, like, how he acts and just, like, the things that he does and the things that he chooses to say and do, we're not often given his perspective and why he might have chosen to done that. We're kind of just shown this person at face value. And I think, like, I mean, I won't lie because, like, the Hansung hate train is also kind of fun.
Oh, no, yeah, choo-choo,
like,
motherfucker.
It's definitely enjoyable to find a character that you can just, like, pour just mad. Like, dude, screw this guy. Like, everything he does bad. I hate this guy. But at the same time, it was really easy for him to become that to us because we don't get his perspective a lot. And in these later episodes, we start to get his perspective. We start to see what he's really thinking and feeling and, like, what the reasons behind his actions are, and just like that more context and more background that make us understand him more as a person and less as this, like, face value character who just does stupid stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Which honestly I think is really interesting to see, because as much, you know, fun as it is to get to know a character kind of like right from the get-go and see them as a person, there's something really, I want to say fun, but I don't know if that's the right, like, word to describe the feeling that I'm thinking of right now. But there's something fun in having a character that in the beginning you're kind of like, what is this dude? And then you only get to find out more about him later, because now, like you said, we're kind of like looking back on those feelings and being like, man, we didn't know, but, like,
yeah,
this dude's he's got feelings.
I was the fool who believed what I saw.
I was the fool. I called him Han stupid, and I said that he was 80 years old.
Hangul says, like, having someone next to your loved one feels dirty. And, like, ooh, boy, that's such a great articulation of that feeling.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, being in a relationship with somebody and, like, seeing somebody who's, like, kind of just waiting in the wings for you to fuck up so they can, like, swoop in.
God.
Ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee. Yikes.
And he kind of concludes with, like, the most badass shit ever, because Hangul looks at Yuju, this person who's been, like, his bad habit for years, and who he, like, is realizing that he's kind of intruded on the relationship between her and his cousin. And he says, if you hurt him again, I think I'll hate you. And I'm like, yes, dude.
Damn. Yo.
That's so cool. Because, like, you see that he's grown past that, like, crushy feeling. And he's like, listen, this person trusted me. And, like, he's also my cousin. Like, family matters.
And he's my bro, you know? Like, we bro out. We drink wine together. We
I go over to his completely dark house and punch him in the face.
You know, that, like, just, like, cool bro things. And then we cut to Un-chan crying in the bathroom, and Un-se, like, looking through the fogged window, being like, I need to pee. Stop crying in the bathroom. And she, like, goes to complain to Mom, and Mom is like, if Un-chan needs to cry in the bathroom, then she needs to cry in the bathroom, all right? Leave her alone. Go take money and go buy me things. Listen, my daughter is sad, okay?
Un-se is such a fairy tale monster. Like, she's something that, like, parents would scare their children with. And, like, the antidote to her is money. Like, you just give her some ching, and she just, like, runs off to, like, not be bothering you anymore.
She's like, I'm fine now.
Yeah, she's like the troll who lives under a bridge. Like, you just gotta pay that toll so you can go about the rest of your day unfettered.
Oh, man.
And then we get the best, like, the sadness montage. It's got TV tissue sleeping issues.
Yeah, no, we get these cool cuts between every, like, Un-chan and Hot Girl just being real sad. And I'm like, wow, look at both of you being so sad. What if you just stopped? And
Yeah.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. And we just chilled out.
At any point, y'all could, like, just make out, and this would be like, oh, yeah, not a big deal.
That's right. This is cool.
I wonder, like, maybe they're not saying it, but, like, maybe Hangul just kind of, like, mentally prepared himself to be gay. And now he's trying to, like, walk that back. And that's the only reason he needs time, is he was just really prepared for that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, they do talk a lot about how, like, he, you know, went through this whole thought process and he was like, dude, yeah, like, because he did, like, go kind of through the motions of being like, am I gay? Oh, no, gay. I'm not gay. Oh, all right, well, I love this person, so I guess that means I'm gay. And, like, he accepted it. And then she was like, psych. And he was like, what? And now we're here.
He did, like, the whole Royal Rumble. Like, he got in the ring and then, like, all of his fears and anxieties and doubts came in one after the other, and he had to, like, throw them out. And then when they were all cleared, like, the prize at the end of the rainbow was just like, no, you didn't need to do this. It's fine.
Surprise! You didn't, like, they didn't exist the whole time. You were fighting nothing.
Good day, sir. You lose.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Ugh.
Then so we cut to my least favorite thing ever. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. We love it. We love it.
Like, there's no setup that I can imagine that's, like, worse than this. Like, your ex is your ride to the airport when you're leaving him?
Literally, Yuju, like, it cuts to Hansung, like, being out by his car, and then we see Yuju walking with a suitcase. And,
one
like,
suitcase.
Yeah, just one, you know, that's all she needs. And my initial thought, and I'm sure my initial thought when I watched this for the first time was like, oh, he's here again to be like last shot, like, don't go. I know that you're like, taxi's on the way, whatever. Like, I'm here one more time being like, please don't. But then she gets in the car and they start driving, and I'm
he's
like,
oh. Slamming doors too. Like, this is the most red flag it's ever been.
It's
like,
so uncomfortable. And then to make it worse, as they're driving, it can't even be like this is the last thing, like, you know, I see you before you go. No. They're on their way, and Hansung has to be like, you know, I don't want you to go. Like, what if you don't go? And Yuju is like, I am not doing this. Let me out of the car. And she gets out. Like, he pulls over, she gets out, and then it's like, it's real sad because, like, Hansung is like, Yuju, don't go. And he's, like, yelling after her, like, don't go. And she's like, bitch, bye.
We get, like, again, more context for, like, whatever was going on with Yuju and DK before, because Hansung is like, you dated him for a year while we were together. The day before we broke up, you were with him when you said you were at work, and you told me, well, if you don't trust me, what are you gonna do about it? And I did nothing! And I'm like, oh my god.
I know, I was like, oh.
That was... I for a second... And I kind of hate to say it. I was like, man, fuck you, Chu. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, they, like, it's... yeah. It's not good.
Dude, a year?
Whole year.
And then to tell somebody, well, you know, if you don't trust me, what are you going to do about it? Like, you have to break up with me if you know that I'm cheating on you. And then he goes, well, you know what? You're right. I should trust you. And she knows that he should not have trusted her.
Oh, God.
And then, like, she starts firing back at him instead of addressing anything that he said, which is always a great sign in an argument.
Yeah, she just like, starts... Yeah, she just, like, starts calling him a cradle robber. She's literally like, wow, Unchan was young and innocent and whatever. Is that why you liked her so much? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, damn, all right, hold on.
Yeah, she keeps being like, yeah, you know, you would sleep with me and then check your phone for messages with her. And I was like, man, of anything she said, like, that's the most damning. Like, that, the feeling you get from, like, reading that or hearing that said is, like, a lot. That you can, like, be intimate with somebody and then roll over and be like, I wonder if my cute girlfriend is texting me.
Yeah. So this all, like, blows up to essentially a screaming match. As it, you know, I mean, like, That definitely felt like what was going to happen. And then, like I said, Han Sung is like yelling after her, like, don't go, Yuju, don't leave. And she's just leaving. And then
they keep using this like phrase, and I don't know if it was the same in your translation, where he's like, I was just shaken up. But like, yes. And she's like, wait, I don't see a difference between you being shaken up and you being in love with Eun-chan. And I was like, okay, finally somebody said it. Like, what the fuck does shaken up mean in this context?
Yeah, because he's like, I wasn't in love with her. I was just shaken up. And she's like, frankly, I don't see the difference. Like,
yeah, don't obfuscate your weird emotional cheating.
Yeah. So then we cut to the airport, and Yuju is like in the airport, and she walks up and she sees DK, and they have this like silent conversation where DK kind of like looks at her and is like, hey, and Yuju stares back, and DK is like, I have coffee and muffin, and she just stares at him, and he's like, we going? And she continues to stare at him, and he's like, I'm going, and she continues to stare at him and say nothing. And then he's like, and then he like takes a bite of the muffin, gets up, takes his suitcase, throws the muffin in the trash, and leaves. And I'm like, bro, what just happened?
DK is a pimp. Like, credit where credit's due. Like, this man has the resources, he knows what he wants, he knows what he's about. He's like the only character who's kind of not being just fucking manipulated by anybody. Like, he's obviously been like fucked with by Yuju the last couple episodes and like been used unfairly, but he immediately recognizes it and is like, I don't need this. I'm DK. Like, I can go be in Smash. I can like go have a Mario party. I can drive my go-karts. I don't need this.
He's like, yeah, I could just like go to New York and like, I'm rich, dude. Like, so whatever.
He looks like a Backstreet Boy. He's got like this big white coat.
Oh God, he does.
And he takes a big bite of that banana nut muffin, and
then he just throws it away. And I was kind of like, okay, like, come on, eat the muffin. Like, I don't know if this is symbolism or whatever, but like, dude, you paid for that muffin. Like, eat it.
It felt symbolic. Maybe just of how rich he is, that he's like, I only wanted one bite, and then he just dashes it.
There you go. So then we cut to, so Han Sung is, you know, after Yuju left, he gets back in his car and he's kind of like driving after
while crying.
Yeah, he's driving and crying, and it's very dangerous. But then he gets to the airport and he runs up and he's in the same spot that Yuju had been in before. He looks up, he sees like the big screen with all the flight information, and he sees that the flight for Yuju is having like final call right now, and he doesn't see her anywhere, and he's like, damn, she left. She really left. And he's like, sad.
Oh, when they showed him running, I had like this brilliant vision where he's just like running full speed, and I was like, what if instead of like running to Yuju, he just like shows up next to Eun-chan and he's just completely switched gears, like he's given up on Yuju and he's like, now I'm gonna get back with other girlfriends.
Yeah, he's like, dude, screw it, I'm just gonna, like, she's sad right now, maybe I can get in on that rebound.
Oh yeah, I did not put it past him. I always have that lingering mistrust.
Yeah, no matter how much we learn about Han Sung, we'll always hate him.
Also, he's sitting outside her apartment, and there's a song that's been playing like in the back of this whole like romantic like run to the airport scene. Go get her, Han Sung. And this song, like as he's just standing there, like I was kind of half paying attention to it, and it's like kill myself, and I was like, wait, what? And I rewound it, and the song in English says kill myself at one point.
Yeah, I too have heard that in rewatchings of past, and you know, happens. Like,
God.
I've never actually looked up the official like lyrics or like the soundtrack to see if it really does or if it just sounds like that or whatever. But I mean, it sounds pretty strongly like it. And then I'm pretty sure right after that line in the song, the singer goes, I'm just saying. And I'm like, what?
It's such a great, like, jerk you out of your, like, sad watching TV when you're like, wait, what the fuck?
Hold up a minute. Oh my gosh. So then we cut back to Un-chan's house, and Un-chan has been working hard to get these feelings ignored. She has peeled all kinds of chestnuts. She's sewing all these eyes on these dolls. Un-se is kind of like, yo, we gonna be rich with how much you're doing. And then Un-se is like, listen, you're sad. Go to bed.
Yeah, she
I
tells
was like,
her, like,
you know what?
oh,
That's real.
You're staying up too late. You're not eating. You're not taking care of yourself. Just like every other girl who's ever been broken up with. Like, she very much has, like, this attitude of, like, this is normal. Go take care of yourself, girl.
She's like, just go to bed. Just go sleep. I don't know. Just, it's fine.
She's even having to, like, feed her food, which is, like, you know Un-chan's sad when she's not gorging herself.
Yeah, but I mean, Un-chan is also gorging herself because guess where we cut to next is Un-chan sitting outside of a convenience store with tons of food in front of her.
Just a second, because I had, like, a little nerd moment when they showed the dolls. I was like, oh, that looks kind of familiar. And then I realized that they're Sergeant Frog dolls. She's sewing up a bunch of tamamas. And I was like, oh, that's so cute that, like, they had her working on, like, a licensed property doll.
I mean, yeah, it's totally possible that means that there's, like, a sponsorship, but I don't know.
We're gonna find the evidence of corruption. Yeah.
I mean, probably just because Coffee Prince is an older drama, so it was not as, like, rampant in the genre, but, like, oh yeah, we'll see all kinds of product placement in the future. I'll tell you what. It's so good. It's so obvious. It's so dumb, and I love it. I mean, I hate it because, like, capitalism, bleh. But also, it's just so funny. It's so, like, it's so interesting because sometimes they really try and immerse you and keep you in it. Like, they really give you a reason for this product placement. Like, they're like, you really need this drink because you just ran here and you're dehydrated. But then they just have this, like, beauty shot on the project, or on the product, and they're, like, showing the title, and the person, like, drinks it, and it's like, wow, this really works. And you're like, what is going on? Can we get back?
It's like the Truman Show? That's awesome.
We'll get to it later. For now, Un-chan's just sewing some dolls that just so happen to be licensed.
Gosh. So you're right. We cut to Un-chan with 4 bags of chips split open and, like, 2 tubs of ice cream.
She is munching.
And then I had an actual fucking heart attack because Han-sung pulls up very quickly, gets out of his car, and just starts walking over. And I was like, oh no, this looks like a kidnapping scene. Like in any other movie, he would just pick her up and be like, yoink, and, like, run out of there.
Oh my god.
And he's, like, sad. Like, I get that the actor is like, oh, I'm upset and I'm sad, but he looks angry. And he's just striding over behind her, and I'm like, look behind you,
Un-chan! But little do you know it, he actually just, like, sits down and they have a conversation.
Yeah. Gosh.
And Han-sung is like, listen, Un-chan, don't worry. I read the script. It's fine. He likes you, okay? I know.
Oh, yeah. And in return, he gets Santa-zoned, which is...
I also wrote down he gets Santa-zoned.
Heck yeah. I wish we could high five.
Oh my god. Un-chan is like, you're like Santa for me. And he's like, I'm glad I can be Santa for you.
He's like, cool, that's fine, I guess. Whatever.
Ho ho ho.
Ho ho ha ha ho.
Oh my god.
This scene I wrote, they both have the energy of, like, man, we suck. And I'm like...
Yeah, everyone... In this whole episode, everyone just kind of has, like, upsetty spaghetti energy the whole time.
Yes.
It's like, well...
And then, yeah, they talk, and Han-sung is like, it's gonna be okay. Just, like, have faith and wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like, listen, I read the script, okay? It's gonna be fine. Like, I know.
He's like, look, I skipped 4 pages ahead. It's great. It's gonna be fine.
He's like, you guys will be fine. It'll be great. Just don't worry about it.
Gosh.
So then we cut back to Coffee Prince, and we are still understaffed. Like, we really need some help.
Oh yeah, Harim tries to like broach the subject of Unchan with Hangyul and kind of gets like a look.
Yeah.
And then Seong says, "It is unfair that 60% of the princes are doing 100% of the work." And he tells him to hire new employees.
Oh my god.
That was Bernie Sanders, by the way. You know, it's a good impression when I have to be like, you guys know what that was, right?
You guys know what I just... Good. So then CB rolls up and he's like, "Hey boss, so like, I just, like, Unchan is really sad and she's also really poor and I think that you should just, like, let her work here because, like, I've been texting Unse and Unse says she's sad and I think that you guys should just not be sad anymore." And Hangyul is like, "Bro, what the fuck?"
Oh yeah, he's such a warrior poet about this. He's like, "Let it go." And Hangyul's kind of like, "What?" And he's like, "Just, dude, like, drop it. Like, let it go. Like, you're holding onto it. Relax your grip."
And then Hangyul is kind of like, "Listen, yo, like, I got feelings too." And Waffle Boy kind of cuts in with the, like, "Listen, I know that you guys are playing, like, the we're both sad and my life is hard game, but Unchan kind of beats you by, like, a large margin in the my life is harder game. So, like, I don't think it's fair to pretend that you're on equal standpoints, all right?"
Oh yeah, he's like counting on his painted fingernails. He's like, "Look, 1, her life is way harder. 2, she's younger than you, so you're not only her boss, you're her senior, and also you should have more experience, you big crybaby." And you confirmed that she was right to think that this exact situation would happen. The reason she didn't do it is because she thought it would end up like this, and you proved her right.
Ooh. So then Hangyul is like, "Yeah, screw this," and he's got to go and talk to Hansung again. Except it's way later in the day, so maybe after like a cool day of hard work, then he goes and talks to Hansung. But he rolls up, and once again, Hansung has like 0 lights on in his house. And
oh yeah, I was kind of hoping that Hangyul was just here to punch him again, but that was not the case.
That is not what happened. And Hansung is like, "What are you here?" Hansung is also like, "What are you here? Like, punch me? Like, what?" And Hangyul kind of surprises us all by being like, "Actually, I'm here for you to punch me." And he, after, getting out a couple of jabs, because he can't just jump right in on the apology. He's like, "Listen, like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have punched you, and I shouldn't have lashed out, and I shouldn't have done this, and this. So, like, if you want to punch me, like, it's all cool, bro, I'll understand. Here's my cheek. You want to give it a smack?"
Mm-hmm. Gosh. There's a bit of, like, a cool parallel thing here, where Hansung also mentions of being like, "Look, I trusted you with Yuju, so why don't you trust me with Unchan?" basically. And then he even says, Hangyul to Hansung says, "Hey, she'll be back. Like, all you have to do is wait. I've looked at the script." Like, it's a very direct parallel to what Hansung said to Unchan.
Yeah.
So then we kind of see Hansung call DK. And we know it's DK because he says, and then the subtitles let you know that he's saying, "I didn't want to be the one to tell you." And I'm like, "Oh, is that all we're going to hear? Is that all we're going to hear?" And then we get like a nice shot of Hansung like driving while DK's voiceover is playing, being like, "Oh yeah, she did not come to New York with me." And then, like, he goes to her apartment, I think, and, like, sees that, like, she's not there either. So it's like, where in the world is Yuju?
Where is Yuju? Ugh, man. So then we cut to the boys of Coffee Prince are coming home from a hard day at work, and Waffle Boy and Harim both walk into Mr. Hong's house because they're all rooming together still. I kind of keep forgetting that, and then they show up
this was
again.
Like a nice reminder.
And I'm like, that's right, we got a little roomie situation. So they go in, and Mr. Hong is, like, on the floor, surrounded by snacks, just, like, facing the wall, and he's just
he's got his leg up on the window, straight up airing his balls out. Like,
he is comfy.
Oh, God.
And Harim comes in, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Hong, like, do you want to maybe, like, come back to Coffee Prince? Like, gosh, you're so great, and everyone misses your coffee. Like, come on, man. And then
while
Mr.
he's
Hong,
saying this, he's rubbing the upper thigh of Mr. Hong's raised leg.
He's just giving him a little thigh massage.
Just kind of just back and forth motion on that thigh meat.
He's giving his thigh a little jiggle, just a little, here you go.
He's like, please come back to work.
And Mr. Hong, isn't moving or saying anything, so Harim kind of, assumes, maybe he's tired or he's sad or something or, whatever, and he's like, hey, come on. And then Mr. Hong just, breaks out laughing. And Harim is like, what? And kind of, looks over him, and he sees that Mr. Hong is just, reading manga, just kind of, chilling.
Yeah. He's, laughing. He's like, bring me ramen. And I'm like... Man, he's living it up with no job.
He's living the life. He's like, I should have quit my job sooner.
And the next sequence is, real important. Because what happens is, the motivation of the characters in the scene, Mr. Hong has enjoyed his lazy day. Harim thought he was maybe mad and was trying to console him. Harim feels upset that he's just been, laughing, reading manga, and making demands. So he puts his 2 fingers together, and he pushes them into the butt of Mr. Hong, which makes a series of fart noise sound effects start to play. And Mr. Hong grab his ass and go, oh, da-dong chim, which my sub said, and I quote, where you poke someone's butt with the fingers, supposed to hurt. And I had a cool moment because I was like, oh, they do this in Japan, but it's called kancho. Oh. And it's just something school children do to each other if you're going up the stairs behind your friend.
You get them right in the butt. You're like, ah.
And I was like, oh, these kids are gonna be all right. These are some nice kids.
These are some nice kids, and they're gonna be just fine.
Everything's gonna be fine. We paid for fart sound effects. It's gonna be a good show.
Oh my god. Oh wow. So then we cut to something else that's happening in this show.
Yeah, it's just Han sitting outside the house of a woman he sexually assaulted in the workplace.
Oh my god.
I couldn't get over the optics of that, of him just kind of stalking a little,
He's sitting outside of her apartment in his car, and I kind of had to do a little bit of a double take, but I was like, but what? He's here? He's not avoiding it anymore? So he's kind of sitting there, and he's staring up at, the little window screen door for their room that leads out to the little balcony, because, that's been a thing.
Yeah,
and he's looking, and he's kind of and he lets out a nice little moody sigh. He's like, and then he throws it into reverse, and he starts backing up, and then for a second he stops, and he's like, and then he's like, nah, and he continues to back out, and as he's going to back out, Unsei rounds the corner, and she's kind of walking past, and then she does a double take, and she's like, but what? And she sees Hangul, and she's immediately like, Un-chan, he's here! You need to come outside! And we're like, but then he drives away. But then, we cut, and guess where Un-chan is?
Coffee Prince.
No, that was a really good try. Try again.
Oh god, not Han Sung's house.
No, this is not a
She's in New York with DK.
That's right. Un-chan has decided, screw it. She's thrown all her plans to the wind, and she's made her way to New York, and she's just living with DK. They met, and they had a cool moment where he was like, hey, I'm rich, and I just kind of want to chill out. And she was like, cool, I like friends. And
yeah, she's
so it's,
real
it's
strong.
Like a cool
He's gonna get her
thing.
into Smash.
Exactly. And yeah, no, actually, she's in front of Hangul's apartment, and she's waiting for him. Oh yeah, I dude, I bet you. And so she's kind of sitting there, being like, man, he's not, whatever. So she decides to leave, and she's got her bike, and before she stopped at his place, she must have picked up another pound of chestnuts to peel. But, oh no, gosh, oh geez, her bag of chestnuts have a little hole in it, and the chestnuts are weaking, and they're falling on the ground.
I lost it at this scene.
Oh, yeah?
Because
In a positive or negative way?
In a very positive way.
I'm glad. I love this scene.
I felt like I took an L from the first episode because I was like, oh, they're putting a lot of emphasis on these chestnuts. Like, I wonder if that'll come back with, like, the whole coffee thing. And, like, in the back of my mind, even though I know nobody cares, I've quietly been like, oh, man, I made this prediction. I was so adamant about it, and we're so far away from it now. Like, it's never going to come back. And then once these chestnuts started leaking on the ground, like full-on Hansel and Gretel style, I wrote, yes, glorious reincorporation. I called it.
You did. Oh my gosh, Jaren, this might just be your very first prediction to come true.
Oh, you're probably right.
We have to celebrate. No, it's exciting. Oh my god.
Somebody ring the bell.
Yeah, go ring the I did it bell. But yeah, so Un-chan is walking away and she doesn't notice this giant trail of chestnuts that she's leaving for, like, to herself.
Noisy chestnuts, too.
Yeah, they're, like, clacking on the ground and she's just too upsetty to even think about that spaghetti.
You like that, huh?
I did. I really liked it. So then Hansung, or not Hansung. God, no, not Hansung. Han-gyeol shows up. And he sees all these chestnuts on the ground, and he immediately knows what's going on. And he kind of, like, smiles to himself, and he's like, pfft. And so he starts following them. And then we cut back to Un-chan, who is a well ways away, but has finally realized that these chestnuts are, like, falling. And she's like, oh, no, oh, gosh, oh, geez, oh, no. And she starts, like, picking them up and putting them in her shirt.
Yeah.
Like the classic, like, big shirt pocket.
And she's, like, talking to herself as they're both picking up these nuts off the street. She's like, come on, Un-chan, you gotta move on. You gotta get ready to live Un-chan's life and not be so worried and, like, let Han-gyeol live his life.
Oh, yeah. She's like, Un-chan's gotta be Un-chan. Han-gyeol's gotta be Han-gyeol. That's just the way it's gotta be. And meanwhile, we're cutting back to Han-gyeol, who's, like, also picking up and, like, gathering these chestnuts in his shirt. And he's kind of being like, oh, she's so silly, so clumsy. Oh,
you're such a silly Billy.
Such a silly. You're such a silly Billy. You. And then we have this really, really good shot of the two of them emerging from kind of like parallel little like alleyways kind of deal to pick up these chestnuts. And then they meet in the middle and they're like, oh, what?
And then Han-gyeol, he kind of just immediately is a bit of a meanie linguini towards her.
He can't help but be it.
He just starts being like, what's wrong? Like, you can't even do this job? Like, And I'm like, dude, that's the first thing you say after, like, however long it's been since they've seen each other? I was just so frustrated with him in that moment for, like, not even being normal, but just being frustrated.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know. I didn't read it as him being frustrated. I read it as more he knowing that it had been a while and that obviously there had been this tension between them. His kind of, like, first idea of what to do when he actually had to talk to her wasn't to instead of like standing there and feeling like he didn't want to feel awkward in that moment, so instead he kind of like reverted back to that like older brother younger brother energy they had to be like, Un-chan, you can't even pick up some freaking chestnuts, you little stinker. And then Un-chan like stands up and like drops all of the chestnuts that she had in her shirt. And I was like, no, the chestnuts. And Han-gyeol is just like, he's beaming. He's big smile. He is loving this moment. Gosh. Oh, man. So then they decide to relocate.
Yeah, they go to the park, and he sort of continues, like, that older brother teasing energy with the guilt trip. He's kind of like, hey, you don't even feel bad about everybody at the store who has to, like, work so flippin' hard right now?
Yeah, he's like, it's not about me, it's about the cafe. Like, it's the cafe is the one that needs you, And he starts off with that. That's what he kind of does first.
Yeah.
But then he decides, screw it. And he's like, I thought to myself whether or not I could live without you. And I don't think, like, he took Mr. Hong's kind of words and he mulled them over. And he made the choice that he doesn't think that he can live without Un-chan in his life.
Those are very sweet words. Unfortunately, they were kind of preceded by the build-up where he goes, I'm mad, I hate you, I don't understand you, but I don't think I could live without you.
I mean, to be fair, at least he wasn't being like, I'm over it, like, I'm good now. Like, he was kind of reveling in that, like, I'm still upset and I'm still hurt. Yes. And, like, that's not gonna go away instantly, but I do recognize that when I weigh those feelings together, the feeling that I have that I want you in my life is stronger, which is why I'm here now, kind of.
Ooh, I think there's even a line before or after this where Hansung says something about, like, a relationship, Hansung or Hangyul does, a relationship that's 10 years long, like, it'd be weird if there weren't dents in it. And I was like, that's the perspective here, is like, this is a dent in their relationship, finding out the gender of your partner. And,
you know.
Just a momentary setback.
Just like a thing that happens to all couples, really.
Yeah.
What if that was just like everybody lived in like gender ambiguity?
Oh yeah, you have a gender reveal, but it's not till you turn 30. Like,
ooh.
We should do that. We should do adult gender reveal parties.
I feel like that would be way. I mean, like, one, that would take away the whole like you get assigned this gender before you even like know how to walk and make words. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, one, yeah, that would probably help that out a lot. And then two, I feel like it'd just be like way more fun of a party because like instead of like, I don't know, like being like, wow, you got me these socks that are pink for my child that is not here yet. It would be like, oh yeah, we got freaking like, I don't know. I feel like things would just be more fun.
Yeah, you could drink. You could have your gender reveal cake, and you could just get blitzed and like fall into it.
Yeah, dude, you could pop out of your own cake.
And you're old enough to tell people which color clothes you prefer.
Yeah, that too. Bro, it'd be way more fun if instead of like the whole color thing being gender, you just got to kind of like stand up on a stage and be like, I've decided that I'm a boy some days and a girl some days, and that's just how it's gonna be. And everyone just goes, yeah.
Dude, I'm falling in love with this idea.
Yeah, dude, screw Copy Prince. Like, yes. let's plan out for this.
Stay tuned for the live broadcast of Jared and Kara's gender reveal party.
Yeah, I want to kind of have my own gender reveal party. I want to tell, like...
We'll schedule a venue, and then we'll do them one after the other. We'll just get all of our friends, like a
oh my gosh, yeah, we can all, like, stand up in a line, and we can walk across the stage like we're graduating, but the paper we get says what we want our gender to be.
It just says boy, B-O-I, or goyal, G-O-I-L.
One of them says, like, both?
One of them says both with an exclamation mark, and one of them says both with a question mark.
Yeah, because some people, they're in on it, and some people are like, I don't really know what's gonna come with the day, you know?
And you can get blank ones.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you can get just like a whiteboard one, so you can write what you want it to be each day.
Perfect.
This is so good. Oh
this
my
gosh. This is $1 million idea.
Yeah. Anyway, what's happening in Coffee Prince? Oh, that's right. They're sitting on a park bench and I guess it's like a big important moment of the show or whatever.
He says some cheesy shit, which is like, only cry in front of me. And I'm like, okay, macho man. Like,
it's very like, I know that it's, and I mean like middle school me probably would have been like, oh my god, he's so cool, or like whatever. But like at the same time, me now, who is like a adult woman, is like, Uncle, you wanna pedal the fuck back?
Yeah, like, whoa, so slow down.
But like, I get it. It's like, I mean, like, I get it, but it's like, oh, whatever. Like, I get it. I still love romance content, but like, I get it. Okay, I get it.
Okay. As long as we get it, we got it.
As long as we get it. Oh man.
He apologizes for intentionally hurting her. He even specifically mentions, like, I'm sorry for doing that kiss. It was wrong of me. I wanted you to feel bad. And I don't know how I'm processing that. I've kind of just tabled it because the end of this episode will take a big turn, but I'll deal with those feelings later.
I feel like, I don't know. I mean, yeah. There's a big part of me that kind of, like, takes this whole situation and kind of, like, tables it and labels it as, like, this is a product of the genre. And I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of desensitized to it as somebody who's engaged with a lot of media that uses these topics as, like, a part of the plot and a part of, like, that. But at the same time, I don't know, I guess I'm at least able to look at it as, like, the... You know what? Actually, I don't really know what I'm able to look at it as. I think I'm going to keep it in this box over here that's like, I understand that this is something that has emerged with the genre of romantic content. And I get it. Or I don't get it, but I get it, you know? And, like, I'm not happy about it, and I'm not accepting of it in any way, but I understand that that does not define the genre. Mm. Yeah, and I'm kind of going like, that's where I am.
It's also just such a massive departure from, like, everything in the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I've segregated it. I've put it between 2 sheets of pasta, and I've crimped the edges. And it's just this little unholy ravioli that I'm carrying around for the rest of the show.
Oh, God. To be fair, I have seen plenty of series that feature the same kind of events, but they don't have this kind of, like, acknowledgement that it happened and that it wasn't okay. Because by nature of him apologizing for it, that is acknowledgement that, like, that wasn't a cool thing. And even though that doesn't, like, outweigh the fact that, like, it was a really not cool thing, in my opinion... Yeah. Like, this one-off apology of, like, hey, I'm sorry I did that. And, like, acknowledging that you had those angry feelings doesn't forgive the fact that you had them and that you acted on them in that way. Mm-hmm. But I am glad to see that acknowledgement that, like, this wasn't just, like, a thing that happens and, like, we are kind of, like, pushing it away and pretended it didn't happen. Like, no, we acknowledged that it happened and it wasn't good. And moving forward, we're not gonna do it.
It's something that I've started to think about since episode 11 is, like, if I had one wish for this episode, like, what would I change? Like, if I could have been in the room and been like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't do this. Yeah. I think for me, for this episode, it has to be the quickness with which they go back to being comfortable, because sort of immediately after this apology, even before it, he touches her face, and I did weighed whether or not I wanted to say anything, but, like, in that moment of him just kind of, like, wiping away her tear, I was, like, uncomfortable, because it was just, like, again, not unwanted, but, like, sort of unacknowledged, like, physical contact. And, like, the last time that they basically touched face was, like, when he forced that kiss on her. And then after the apology, going to putting his head on her shoulder. And I guess it's sort of eased or appeased by Eun-chan going in for a kiss while his head is resting on her shoulder. And she seems really happy about it, and he seems happy about it. And it was a very cute scene. And I almost felt like I didn't want to bring this up, and I didn't want to be like this weird presence, a specter at the feast for this, like, cute scene. But it's just, that would be my wish. It's just to sort of, like, maybe give some more time or more breath, or even have her, like, acknowledge or say something about the incident would have put my mind a little more at ease to maybe enjoy this reunion a bit more.
Yeah.
Now that I've excised that demon,
it was really cute, though.
It was cute. I even wrote in my notes, I'm like, she gives him a little smack, like S-M-E-C-K. A little smack.
A little smack. Yeah, I think it's good to acknowledge. Like, this is kind of like what my big speech at the end of episode 11, kind of like, and my, like, spark notes on it that I did in this episode. I think it's good to acknowledge those feelings and to kind of be like, yeah, like, this is a thing, because you should never ignore it. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with still reveling in the, like, the cute scenes and the kind of, like, the fluff that you are here to see, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm here for a little head on the shoulder, and I'm here for a little smack. Like that's what I signed up for. And I also signed up to cry, so, like...
Now for something completely different. Back at home, Unsei is watching the movie Fifth Element starring Bruce Willis.
Oh, a little movie ID.
I don't know if it's because I'm used to, like, movies that take place in alternate universes or shows that do that, but whenever I see Shrek or Fifth Element in Coffee Prince, my first thought is, oh my god, like, Bruce Willis exists in the Coffee Prince universe, and it's like, of course he does, they live on Earth. And I need to stop forgetting that.
I mean, like, sometimes it's like a little alternate universe kind of deal, a little AU. But yeah, no, they live, like, kind of in our universe, which is like, oh yeah.
God, Fifth Element is a great movie, by the way. But actually a pretty good rom-com as well.
I feel like in the list of movies that are in Coffee Prince, it definitely lands hard second.
Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously.
Oh man, so yeah, Unsei is sitting there and she's like, hey, if Un-chan marries Hong-gil, doesn't that mean we'll be rich? And her mom is like, can you, like, not do this? And Unsei is like, no. He's gonna, like, buy us a house, and, like, he's gonna have all this money, and we're gonna have that money, because they're gonna be married, and, like, listen, and it's just, like, she really is a money gremlin, because it's, like, all that she cares about.
She's, like, she's also just wearing, like, a really cute romper, like, years before the romper craze that started fairly recently. And I was like, look at this, like, trendsetter over here, just, like, plotting, watching Fifth Element, eating walnuts with a spoon.
Yeah, you know, things you do.
Goals.
Goals. Oh, man. So then, after that little detour, we cut back to Coffee Prince, and Harim, like, rolls up, and he sees Un-chan there, like, in her uniform, working. And he's like, what
is this allowed?
He's like, excuse me, what is going on? And they're all just kind of like working, and Mr. Hong is back, and then Hong-gil shows up, and at first Un-chan and Hong-gil, like, don't really talk to each other, and it's like there's this silence between them, and the three other boys, CB and Seung-gi and Harim, are all like watching them being like, and then at first they're like, aw, man, they didn't even talk, like, what the hecky Becky, like, come on, like, do you think that they're still mad at each other, like, blah, 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 blah? But then
That's right. We've got the title of this episode comes from this scene. Yeah, where they're all going off because they sort of harmonize, and it sounds really interesting. I called it the Oppa Philharmonic.
Wow. Look at you. Oh my gosh, you're even putting in those new vocab words. Look at you.
I've kind of been sprinkling them in a little bit.
Sprinkling them in. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, so then they're like, Hong-gil and Un-chan are kind of like looking at each other, being like, And then all the three boys are like, did something happen? And Un-chan kind of like smiles a little and like nods. And the three of them are like, oh my god, like, boo, boo, boo. It's like air horns are going off, like they are losing it. They are immediately swarming her, being like, give us the deets.
They're like, oh dude, like give us your phone, we'll text him, we're gonna text him some cute shit.
Oh my gosh,
and they start going back and forth.
So cute.
Harim is like, Oppa, I love you, signed your Chan. And then CB is like, Oppa, let's have sweet and sour chicken together. And then Seung-gi is like, Oppa, choke me out. And I'm
yeah. Oh my god. And Un-chan is like, guys, no. And Harim is like, I'll do it from my phone. And then she's like, no. And then she goes, do it from mine. And they're all like, oh! They are like going ape shit with this. They took this and they're running with it. They're like, it's the mood in this cafe did like a 180, and then it did like 5 more 180s, and then it did a final one to leave it at the odd 180 because it is completely flipped.
Oh yeah, it did a 900 like with a kickflip for sure.
Wow. I'm like, oh gosh, we got there. We got there.
And then we get like these, it's the catharsis we needed, because then we have them Three Stooges leaning to spy on Hangul, getting the message that they sent.
Oh my god.
And they're like waiting for a real long time. They're like, he's not smiling. What's wrong with him? Is he a robot? Like, I don't understand.
Oh no.
And then Seonggi's like, wait for it. Wait for it. And then we cut to Hangul's perspective reading the cute message that has a little heart emoji. And he smiles. And they all lose it again, and then they're like,
all
shh. And then Hangul looks over at them, and they vanish, and it's so good.
Oh my gosh! Really quick, I actually forgot to say one of my favorite parts of this episode that happened. So when Hangul walks up to the cafe, he walks by and he sees Unchan's scooter, and he looks at it, and he sees the helmet sitting on the scooter handlebar, and he just kind of like yanks his hand up and gives it a little whap.
I also wrote that down.
Visor falls down.
Because they blur out the branding on the thing, but you can't see it when the visor's up, so like they smack it down, and then there's just this obvious blurring, and I'm like, oh.
It's so good.
Oh, so they rush downstairs, and Unchan's like looking up after them, like, what's going on? And then she tries to play it cool at the bottom of the stairs while they're rushing down. They're like, he smiled, and it's like, oh, it's so cute.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was looking at the three of them, and I was like, okay, everyone tag yourself. Like, who are you? Are you Seong-gi, who like knows what's going on? I was like, I'm strong CB because I'm just excited. I'm giddy. I'm in it.
I might be the biggest CB fan. I don't think that I even like him less than the mains. I feel like fair. I'm here for him.
If you're tagging yourself as CB, then I'll tag myself as Harim, because Harim is also like really giddy.
Oh, we can double tag. I do not mind sharing.
Oh my god, we're both CB? Oh my god.
I think if we both stood on each other's shoulders, we might be able to see eye to eye with CB.
Yeah, I think the two of us combined might be, at least height-wise, we might have made it. We might need to bulk up a little and like get strong.
You think we can take him?
We can take him.
Listen, I want to meet this actor so bad, so I can stand on your shoulders like the hobbit I am, and look him in the eye and say, there could only be one sun in the sky. Let's fight.
Oh my god. So yeah, the atmosphere it's great. Everyone is having a great time. And then we cut to Waffle Boy and Harim in the bathroom, and Waffle Boy is admiring himself. Harim is admiring his dick.
This is a weird scene, so I'm gonna postpone it by let's go back just a little bit. So.
Oh, okay. Well, we can roll it back. No worries.
Oh god, it's so weird. But when they're downstairs, they're like exploring the concept of now having Unchan be a girl. They're like, oh, like, are you a coffee princess now? Like, does this mean we can hire more girls? And Harim's like, I'll pick the girls, please.
I'll girls.
And then Hangul calls Unchan upstairs, and they all lose it a final time where they go,
they're literally having a field day with this.
And now we get to Harim's gross piss scene.
Yeah, that's kind of just like what it is. Harim is Seong-gi is like staring in the mirror. He's putting his hair up. He's checking. He's making sure that he still looks hot. And Harim is peeing, and he's like, he's kind of I don't know how to describe.
I wrote he compliments his own stream.
Yes. He's like, wow, look at my pee. It's so
He says it's thick. Why is his pee thick? Are you drinking flour?
Oh, no.
It's just rank. And Seong-gi is like, hey, I can make this less weird. Whose dick do you think Unchan liked the best?
Yeah, that was like a... I mean, we're entering, I guess, this kind of like realization that they're having that's like, oh, like this whole time that... Because I guess they never really thought about the fact that like the whole time she was around them, she had been a girl. And so they're like, oh my god, she saw our dicks. Oh my god, she like... And Seong-gi, for some reasons, thinks that the correct course of action is to ask, whose dick do you think she liked the best? And I'm like, Seong-gi, let's not do this.
It's just like the weirdest bit of like locker room talk, I guess you could say.
I feel like, to me, it reads as him like trying to get a rise out of Harim, because he kind of like says it with this expression that's like, oh haha, and Harim's immediate reaction is to be like, why would you say that? Oh my god. And so I'm like, I guess I can like, I don't know, maybe like, oh, he just wanted to like, you know, mess with him, but also it was just so weird. It was so weird.
It's I like it as a device within an episode because it's mixing up the emotions and the pace, because we went from like this really long, like pretty much a downward spiral, to like we've pulled up, the plane is looking all right, everything's cute again. Yes. We just need to throw some weirdness in there so that you kind of forget that everything before right now has happened.
Yeah, we have to like you know, level out the oxygen levels. Right?
Oh, yeah. And then we cut to Eun-chan and Hangul doing a delivery.
Yeah, so Hangul is like, come do a delivery, and they're like, or this, earlier on when they were sitting, Hangul had been like, I need you to do a delivery, and the three boys had been like, who? Is it Harim? And then he was like, no, Eun-chan, and they were all like, buh? So now we're at that delivery, and we don't really see, like, or Hangul goes into this little cafe where I assume he's delivering, like, coffee beans. And the owner is like, hey, listen, like, come on, like, you're making it hard for us over here. Like, can't you give us some of your customers?
And then Hangul very funnily is like, well, you know, we're not doing so well, so I'm keeping them.
Yeah, we're able to, like, have big blowout arguments in the middle of the cafe, and nobody really does anything. So, like,
the coffee is that like, good.
We can't be having that many customers.
Have you ever had a place that was like, you love it there so much that you're willing to put up with, like, people screaming in the kitchen very loudly?
You mean Denny's?
Any Denny's?
I mean, to be fair, Denny's isn't high on my list of restaurants that I, like, actively love for food or anything, but, like, Denny's, sometimes you gotta be somewhere at 3 a.m.
Oh, that's so good.
I feel like every time I've been to a Denny's, there has been something that happened in the kitchen.
There's always a romantic comedy playing out in the back.
You know. So then Hangul is leaving from his delivery, and Eun-chan is kind of like waiting ahead for him, and she's got like a little drink that she got for him, and we love to see it. Hangul like sees her there, and then he kind of like runs to get to her faster, but then he like stops himself and he kind of like gives himself like a second to be like, okay, and then he walks up like dork. Coolly like, hey. I'm like, oh my god, you freaking dork.
She's like, hey, I got you this drink. And he's like, what about a drink for you? And she's like, oh, I already drank it. And he's like, no, you should drink this drink. And she's like, I don't want to.
She's like,
when I tell you to drink, you drink.
Oh my god. And then she's like, okay, I guess I'll drink this drink. And then he like waits for her to be taking a sip, and then he like smacks it like a little shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the heck? Her face. Now there's drink all over her face. And she's like, what is wrong with you? And he's laughing like a freaking 12-year-old boy.
He's like basically just creating an excuse so he can touch her face.
Yeah. Honestly.
So he wipes her up, and like she's smiling like a goofball at him. And he's like, what are you looking so happy for? And she's like, haha, you touching my face.
You touching my face.
And so they get up to go to the restroom, I think. And
oh, yeah. And then Hangul decides that he makes a comment where he's like, oh, I'm like so happy that you're a girl. And then he just like starts any stranger that passes by, he just like stops them and is like, she's a girl. And Eun-chan is like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was like, is this because they're holding hands? He's just like, he's gotta like broadcast. He's like, it's cool, she's a girl. She's a girl.
I mean, to be fair, he's, like, big grinning, and he's not being like, hey, guys, it's fine, she's a girl. Like, he's, stopping people and being like, hey, she's a girl. And he's, like, smiling about it, and then, like, taking her to the next stranger and being like, this is a girl. And it's like...
Have you seen my girl? This is my girl.
Have you met my girl? This is my girl.
Oh, it's very cute coupley type stuff, which is, like... Maybe the first time we've seen them do like coupley stuff that's kind of like outside the realm of like we're hanging out, palling around kind of coupley stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Oh
public
yeah,
hand
they're
holding, scandalous.
all in on the like hand holding and the like looking at each other and then looking away and like smiling and blushing, and it's like, okay, to you, freaking all right, we get it.
And then we get another payoff from way back in episode 1 where Han Gil is kind of grilling her about like, oh well, like did you have feelings for Han Sung, and like what Han Sung, and she's like no. And then she's like, well, you know, the first time I saw you, I thought you were handsome. And he's like, oh, you mean at this thing? And she's like, no, when I delivered food to your house that one time and you were drying your legs with a towel.
Oh my god. And he has like a flashback and he's like, you're the helmet? What?
Yeah, and she's like, you know, I thought it was really impressive.
And he's like, and he like immediately like covers his dick with like the little napkin that he has, and he's like,
oh yeah. And so she's like, oh, you know, I thought it's super impressive, and he's like, what's impressive? What is impressive? Tell me now. And it's like, oh, your wet hair. And it's like, I see you, girl.
All right.
I guess we know whose was her favorite to answer Seonggi's question.
That's how I feel about that. Oh god.
And then this episode takes like another really sharp turn, going to Hangul visiting Han Sung again.
Yeah.
This whole episode, once you get past like the downward spiral, they're just layering so many different emotions and like styles of media on top of each other, because we go from like the drama to the romance to the comedy to the romance, kind of like a genre lasagna, if you will.
Oh yeah, we're really feeling the pasta analogies today, aren't we?
Milk it till it's dry.
Oh man. But yeah, there's definitely a lot going on, genre wise as well. But Hangul goes to visit Han Sung again, and he kind of like, he comes in and he's like, hey, like, dude, you forget her, dude. Like, she runs out, like, what a, man, screw her. Like, he's immediately like full on bro mode. Like, here's like, my bro is here and he's sad and I'm about to like, just like pump these emotions. And Han Sung is kind of like, well, I actually have, like, different feelings, and I didn't just want to bro out and say that I hate her. And he's like, oh, okay, hold on. And he, like, really quickly switches gears to be like, no, dude, like, she'll be back. Like, no worries. And I was like, wow, what a good bro. Read the
In
mood.
my translation, he straight up calls her a monster. I was like,
Damn. I don't know if that happened in mine, but it might have. I don't remember. I didn't write it down.
So after that, I think it's, I wrote, the boys are going off about revelations, and I think that means the Coffee Prince boys?
Yes, because we kind of start this realization that, like, oh, Eun-chan has been, like, around us this whole time, and she's been, like, a girl, and they're like, so they start being like CB remembers that when he was drunk that one time, he, like, totally kissed Eun-chan.
Yeah.
And, like,
cute.
They're all kind of like having those like realizations of like, oh wow, like, yeah, that's right. And then when we went to that, like, Harim remembers the time that he like definitely showed her the tattoo he has on his ass, and he's like, she didn't even ask me to. I just decided I wanted to show her, and I was like, wow, come here, look at my ass, Un-chan. God, I'm an idiot.
He's like saying all that basically in that voice while bouncing up and down in front of a glass patio window where Un-chan is just kind of scoping it, like.
And Un-chan comes in and she's like, what? And they're like, nothing.
They have like a big Scooby-Doo scramble and he like runs away.
Oh god.
Then at Un-chan's house, she's on the phone with Hangul.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. They're on the phone and they're talking and they're being cute, and like Hangul at one point, like he's kind of like being like, oh, what? Like, did you do you like Han Sung more than me? And he's doing this thing where it's pretty obvious that he's like fishing for compliment. Like he's trying to get her to be like, no, I like you. And he's asking her things like, oh, so like what about me is like, oh, you like me more? Like, how can I, like, what do you mean? What do you like about me, Unchan? And she's like, she's kind of avoiding. And it's very funny because he's walking around his house and then he steps up and he's just like standing on his couch.
So good, the acting, because that's totally what you do.
Right, like you're talking on the phone in your house and no one is here. Like you're gonna get on that couch. So he's fishing for compliments, and they're kind of like going back and forth because she's not exactly giving him like what he wanted to hear. But then she kind of like she hits him with the I love you, and it actually knocks him out. Like he physically falls and like falls down. Good thing he was standing on that couch because he falls over and he slides down and he's like on the couch and he's literally, it's like she just took that I love you and she punched him in the face with it because he's like, what?
Oh yeah, she starts shelling him with I love yous. Like it's like a bombardment and it like just breaks his cool. And then he has like this really, really good moment where he's like, hey, knock it off with that. Like, what are you doing? That's dumb. Stop. But hear me out. I love you more. And I was like, oh, that's so good.
God.
Any other show or delivery, like, that would have been so cheesy feeling, but like they earned it with their 12 hours of programming that we've invested in.
They earned it. Oh my God. Oh God.
What was it like watching that for the first time?
I mean, man, I don't really remember to like I don't remember exactly how I felt because it was a long time ago, but I was a middle schooler and I didn't like have a good understanding of the things that I understand now, as vague as that is. But I mean, I feel like because I didn't have as many complicated emotions about the series and I just kind of was like watching it and letting myself feel happy and sad and like having a good time and not really like thinking about anything, I feel like it just was... Honestly, I think I might have not been as like happy to see it. Like obviously I was happy, but I feel like because I feel the low points of this show so much harder now that I'm like, I don't know, like older and I like understand these things better. I feel like when I watched it for the first time, I was like, oh yay, she said I love you and he said I love you more and it's cute and I love it. And now I'm like, oh, be still my heart.
That's so cool. You know who else is like that?
Yeah.
Unchan.
Unchan is. So she got him with the I love you KO. But right as he was about to pass out, he had
drops the grenade.
Yeah, he lashes back with the I love you more grenade. They're both just taken out. And we end our episode on a shot. So at first, Unchan is stunned. But then she kind of like gets up and she jumps around. She jumps on her bed. She's like so happy. And then we end on this shot of her just like laying down being like... And we're like, wow, finally, like, we're just happy for once. Ugh.
Yeah, like, I'm looking forward to next episode.
Yeah.
I want more cute shit, please.
More cute. Yeah, they definitely, I mean, the majority of this episode was kind of in that hard town area, but I feel like the amount of cute that they gave us at the end really kind of like evened it out. Like I feel really good at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything is okie dokie gnocchi right now.
Okie dokie yoki. Whew. And that is episode 12. So, wow, we're here now. What's your takeaways? What's your overall? How you feeling, Jero?
This was about as good as if the last episode had been a bad dream. From a narrative perspective, though, just because I've been very, like, praising of this show so far, I feel like this was the first time where I've kind of felt like we were in a plot cul-de-sac, because we start this episode sad and we end it happy. But looking at the last 2 or 3 episodes as a whole, pretty much, it feels like we started out with, hey, let's try going out, things are great, I love you, to revelation, dealing with this, the Yuju and Hansung subplot advances, and then we kind of get to the other side of this episode where they're like, oh, well, like, let's date and it's cool and I love you. And I understand that, like, a lot has happened in that time, but just the impulse feeling that I get as a viewer is it feels like we are back where we were a couple episodes ago, but now Hong-gil knows what we know, and I would feel more rewarded in future episodes if they do go back and address that Hong-gil still has these feelings of, like, mistrust or betrayal. Like, if they just went full on into cute shit without really acknowledging the fallout from the revelation of this secret as it reoccurs, because it very much feels like he is saying, like, I can't live without you, but this did upset me. So I want to see them dealing with that and being a better example than Hansung and Yuju. Yeah,
fair enough. I guess we'll just have to wait and see in episode 13. Will they just kind of pretend that nothing happened? Will they talk about it? Will we ever know what is happening with Waffle Boy's child? Will Ha-rim and Unsei end up together? Will Ha-rim and Sun-gi do a little mwah-mwah and kind of ease the sexual tension that's going on?
Did Yuju's actress have another contractual obligation that prevented her from being in the rest of the show?
Oh no! I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. Maybe we'll find out in episode 13. Maybe we'll have to wait until episode 17. Who knows?
Ooh. That's it for this time, though.
Yeah, episode 13. What a ride it's been. You got one?
No, I like that.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Thank you. That's a nice little confidence boost. Oh, thanks. made that up on the fly.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Why?